I'm telling you that is just the greatest countdowner that I've ever seen. Everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the RPGwhat podcast. I'm your host, Trevor, aka Zimmy Games, and here with me today, as always, is Red Wolf Renegade, my best friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing
Are
good.
you?
It's hot, so I'm hangry. But I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be talking with you about all things RPGs, specifically Western RPGs. So thank you, everyone, for clicking on this. And get ready. Get ready. Hit the like
No,
button.
absolutely. Hey, what temperature is it over there, by the way? I'm just curious at this point.
I'm gonna be honest. It's like, let's see. My watch says, it says it's 80. For me, that's like 104 and a half. I cannot handle heat. Like I said,
80.
My Nordic blood is like you will boil in the sun.
I'm actually
But
curious. So it's 82 right now here
mm,
in good old Kentucky. So I'm right there with you. Yeah, I don't like it.
yeah,
I don't like
it's
it.
nasty.
Anyway, let's just go ahead and open up into topic number 1, which I'm really excited about because I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd. I think everyone knows that. And I'm also a big fan of Hogwarts Legacy. So earlier this week, uh, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions was announced, and they're doing they're currently asking people to register to play test the game for them. If you don't know, this is a brand new game set in the Harry Potter universe, and it appears to be an online multiplayer game where you and your friends can play the sport Quidditch, which is a very just fictional, popular sport in the Harry Potter universe. Now, a lot of people are going to be looking at this show because it's RPGwhat. We're an RPG-centric podcast. And wait a second, this Quidditch Champions game is not an RPG. So how does this relate? Well, it relates because a little old game called Hogwarts Legacy recently dropped earlier this year. And one of the features that was missing that fans absolutely wanted, I would actually go as far to say, as it is probably the number one requested missed feature of Hogwarts Legacy, and that is the ability to play the sport Quidditch in the game. Now, with Quidditch Champions being announced, really, there's one question that I have is does do we need Hogwarts Legacy to now have Quidditch in it as DLC? Because a lot of fans, myself kind of included, want them to add Quidditch or wanted them to add Quidditch into Hogwarts Legacy. But now with this game coming out, that's going to allow us to play Quidditch. But more than that, it's going to add that multiplayer component that a lot of people wanted. Does Hogwarts Legacy now really need to come out with Quidditch? Red, how do you
Mm,
feel?
I think the answer is still yes. And why do I
Yeah.
say that? Yeah, I feel like because whenever you have Quidditch, it's sort of think about it like this. The way that I look at Quidditch, the way that I've always felt about Quidditch in the Harry Potter games is sort of like you're in high school, okay, and you got to go to class and you have this drama with your friends and what have you, and then you also have the big football games coming up in the middle of all that,
Mm-hmm.
and then it comes up every now and then. It's not always happening, but it is very integral to Harry Potter in general, and I feel like taking away the Hogwarts from Quidditch, the same as taking the Quidditch away from Hogwarts. For me personally, I'm not interested in a Quidditch only game, and I'm not gonna say I'm not interested in the Hogwarts Legacy without Quidditch, but that is literally the one thing that I was upset about. So taking away the social aspect, I guess, of running around, being in class, having all those quests in Hogwarts, and then looking forward to the big game. It's
Yeah.
just such a, you know what I'm saying? Like it's such an integral part to the Harry Potter world. So yeah, that's me.
No, it is. I mean, and when a lot of people think of Harry Potter, I mean, of course, they think of wands, they think of magic, they think of the school itself, they think of like the characters and stuff like that. But I think one really important piece of that universe is Quidditch, right? Is the wizarding sport that is Quidditch. Now, I will say this, right? I absolutely am excited about the Harry Potter Quidditch Champions game. It kind of reminds me of the Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup game that released a long time ago on the original Xbox, and I think also PC as well. So I'm excited to play it, but I definitely would also like to see Quidditch added to Hogwarts Legacy. Now, the interesting part about this whole thing, though, actually, there's two interesting parts. I'm going to go with the first one though first. I actually made a video on this channel, on the RPGwhat channel, several, well, probably 3 weeks ago. And it was basically talking about whether or not any DLC is going to come for Hogwarts Legacy. And a big portion of that is, I mean, I think the creative director himself said that they had no actual plans for DLC, which is kind of strange, right? Because there are quite a few missing features from Hogwarts Legacy, one of those being Quidditch, right? So if at the very least you would kind of be expecting that they actually, at least had that planned as DLC. But then with this this new DLC coming out, or this new game coming out, there's been a lot of people speculating that they took Quidditch out of Hogwarts Legacy so it doesn't kind of like take away from this Quidditch only game, right? And there's been, I think Reddit had around like 1,000, 2,000 people that like upvoted that idea. So I don't know. Do you think that that might play a role in this?
So you're asking specifically that they knew that it was coming down the pipeline, kind of thing? Like,
yeah,
they're like, we don't want to double dip,
Yeah, like Warner Brothers, knew that this Quidditch Champions game was going to happen, right? And they requested that maybe the team at Avalanche take it out. Obviously things are never like super simple like that. There's always like that gray area, but maybe like the Hogwarts Legacy team, Avalanche, were having difficulties really getting the Quidditch aspect to where it needed to be. And Warner Brothers decided to pull it out because they had this other Quidditch game anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I knew, it's kind of like this. Like if you're a musician, and you have like a collab that you want to do with a similar idea that you want to do with your own band, but you know that the collab is going to scratch that itch anyway, and it's going to be better, and you're going to have like a bigger splash with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might just say, let's just hold off on this one thing, and let's do it with the other guys. Let's wait and see what their spin is on it. And if it that's the thing. It's like retroactively, if it flopped, could they say, all right, now add it in because it sucked. Just do your thing. Like, but to answer the base question, yes, I think that that would absolutely sort of mess with the sales of that game. And do we? I mean, we probably don't. How long was this game in development for? Obviously, it had to be a while. It's a game. Games take a long time to make. Doesn't look too graphically demanding, but who knows? Yeah, it doesn't say anything.
Well, I mean, also, like they are asking people to sign up for playtests, right? So that doesn't mean that the game is literally going to launch this year. I guess it just kind of depends on how early of a playtest it is. But I mean, I would say that this game honestly has probably been in development for at least probably 2 years, right?
Right. So, especially if they're having playtesters come in already.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, see, and see another way I look at it is and I mentioned this in my video that I did several weeks ago, is this is a big win for WB Games, like Hogwarts Legacy is, right? And do they want they don't have any DLC planned. They're still working on the last generation console version of the game, right? There's also going to be a Nintendo Switch version that actually launches as well that they're still working on, right? So do they want to, because if they haven't started any DLC, of course, that's going to take time. Do they want to spend that 6 months to a year to create that DLC, get it out? Or do they want to automatically start working on a sequel and pump that out as quickly as they can while the fire is still hot from this last success, that being Hogwarts Legacy, right? And I mean, they kind of did a really good job of explaining why, like in building it into the world, why Quidditch wasn't in Hogwarts Legacy. So I don't know. I mean, to me, just seeing this, like, I feel like this is in some ways kind of like the final nail in the coffin for people that want a Quidditch DLC for this Hogwarts Legacy game. I think it's very likely that we would get, Quidditch in like a following sequel, but I don't know if we're going to get it for Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, the interesting thing to think about is what you touched on. If they are going to, and I can't imagine them not doing it now, for as far as putting Quidditch into a sequel. The good thing is that we can assume that it's running off the same engine, and if it is, if they're going to implement Quidditch at all, they are building it currently. If they are building the sequel, which we know that they are, so the thing is, if they are building Quidditch for the second game, they have a template there to use for DLC for the first game if they wanted to add it. And then they would get a ton of feedback from the players buying that DLC for Hogwarts Legacy 1. And then they could implement changes for the sequel and make it even better. So it's not even, it's like it's a win-win, I feel. And Mitch in the chat, shout out to him. I don't know if that's Mitch from Lorefield. Tell me who you are, Mitch. Tell me. But he said the new game has such a cartoony look to it. I would hope it doesn't discourage Quidditch DLC in Hogwarts Legacy. Totally different audiences there. And I kind of, it's interesting to say that because when you think about it, Hogwarts Legacy is sort of like the absolute love letter to the wizarding world. And then Quidditch does seem more, I mean, the wizarding world in general is whimsical and fun. This is definitely more, it's more kiddie, it's more like, you can just jump in and fuck around with it and have fun. And then, so I don't know. Two different audiences. I agree. It is Mitch from the Lorefield podcast. Shout out to him. I love you.
Welcome. So, as you guys know, every week we put out a poll. This week's poll had to do with our main topic, and so the question that I posed to everyone on Twitter, and also every Monday, sometimes it's Tuesday, we post this poll on my Twitter account at Zimmy Games. So if you want to take part in any of the weekly polls, feel free to go there and do it. But this week's poll was, with the announcement of Quidditch Champions, does Hogwarts Legacy still need a Quidditch DLC? And so the answers were pretty simple, yes and no. Yes received 48.6% of the vote, meaning that no actually had slightly more votes at 51.4%, and that's out of 37 votes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's really surprising. Damn. And we're over here like the majority. I mean, I am one of those people. I don't know. I'm sure you are too, who wanted it. That was like the one thing I was like, man, really? Damn. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right, people. Well, it's okay. You're wrong. You're wrong, people. But that's okay.
No. I wouldn't say that. Okay. I mean, but it is kind of interesting, right? That people kind of don't think that Hogwarts Legacy needs a Quidditch DLC as much as it did before, I guess, right? Seeing how Quidditch Champions is coming out. And, I mean, it's also hitting that multiplayer, right? Like a lot of people, whenever Hogwarts Legacy was first announced, whenever it released, a lot of people were kind of, like upset that it didn't have any multiplayer components, right? They want to do like wizard duels with their friends or play Quidditch with their friends or whatever. So, this Quidditch Champions game definitely kind of fills in that gap. But I agree. I want Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy. I really seriously doubt that we're going to get it for DLC for this first game, but I think it will be in the second one, right? I don't know. I really hope that they they eventually get their act together and add Quidditch, man. Another thing I really wanted was just more mini games in Hogwarts Legacy, if I'm going to be honest. Quidditch would have been great, but like Wizard's Chest would have really been awesome. Playing Gobstones would have been really awesome as well. Just more mini games. But anyway, so let's move to topic number 2, I guess. Unless you have anything else to say, or does chat have anything else to say about the Quidditch? The Quidditch.
Yeah, Mitch, tell us what you think. Come on, Mac, you. Tell us what you feel, how you feel about things. That's an inside joke. He knows. Assassin once called him Matt in a podcast, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Anyway, we're getting off topic. I'll just say that I actually am still waiting. I think I talked to you about this before.
Okay.
All the games I am so weird about organizing my games, especially when it comes to a backlog, because I know that there are certain games that I can run through, beat quickly while still enjoying it, and then there are other games that I do not want to run and just beat. I don't play games that I am absolutely enamored with to beat them. I play them to like live in them, if that makes any sense. Especially big open world RPGs. I just sort of take my
Yeah.
time and just, you know how it goes. Like Hogwarts Legacy is one of those games that I put down because I was like, I'm gonna wait. And then I heard like there is some like big changes coming soon. They're adding like romance or something soon. They're adding some stuff. So maybe they'll add some stuff by the time we get back into it. So I do agree with you on the mini games thing. And yeah, maybe one. Oh, Mitch says, did Hogwarts have a Quidditch team in the canon at the time Hogwarts Legacy takes place?
Yes. Yes, they did. So if you, I don't know if you've played the game, but there are broom races. And one of the characters that kind of leads the whole broom racing is a Slytherin girl who is a part of the Quidditch team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Nigellus Black, Phineas Nigellus Black, decided to cancel Quidditch because a pureborn got injured. I guess like the previous year, and so he wanted to just basically ban like the sport from Hogwarts, and that's the developers' way of kind of saying in the game why Quidditch isn't a thing. But there are Quidditch teams. 100%. It's just they're not allowed to play because the headmaster at the school has basically banned the sport. But yeah, Quidditch 100% exists in Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts has 4 Quidditch teams for each of their houses. So it's already established that Quidditch is 100% a thing. And they have the teams to play it, and there's people that are actually currently a part of the teams. Whenever you walk outside Hogwarts, like on like the school grounds, oftentimes you can also see students like just kind of practicing by throwing a quaffle back and forth. A quaffle is like the ball that they use in Quidditch. So like they're just kind of playing around, having fun and stuff like that, wearing their Quidditch robes. But yeah, so it's definitely in the game. Like you can see like Quidditch in the game kind of happening. You just don't actually get to see Quidditch being played. And of course, you can't actually play Quidditch in the game.
There you go, Mitch. There you go, Mitch. Thanks for bugging us about. No, just kidding. You're like the only one in chat right now. It's been Mitch. When's the Lorefield episode 97 coming out with featuring DeMarco and Red Wolf? When's that coming? I'm looking forward to that, especially when I fell out of a chair, which was absolutely embarrassing, but I loved it. It wasn't embarrassing. It was embarrassing for everyone else secondhanded. I did it on purpose. Just kidding. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, so let's just jump ahead into the second topic, which is Elder Scrolls. So, we've kind of talked about this a lot, like in party chats and before shows and after shows, and I think we actually kind of dabbled around it during your podcast this last Tuesday. But it was kind of more directed towards Fallout, right? How long it's going to be until we get the next Fallout game. But I actually just wanted to dive into this and say, hey, Skyrim, the last mainline Elder Scrolls game released in 2011, right? It's almost been 12 years since we have gotten another mainline Elder Scrolls game, right? And of course, we know that Todd Howard is he's working away, he's chipping away, he's making art with Starfield, and then after that we are then going to get Elder Scrolls 6, which I believe is going to take place in Hammerfell. But at that point, we're still probably looking at I mean, if we want to be really, optimistic, 2.5 years after Starfield launches. But if we're going to be more realistic, we'll say probably 3, maybe 4 years after Starfield launches, right? So whenever it's all said and done, if my math skills are still good, like 15 years, 16 years, right? Since we've gotten the last mainstream Elder Scrolls game. I mean, I could have had a kid, right? Whenever Skyrim came out, I would have been a very, irresponsible child. But, if I did, my kid would be 15 before we get to play the next Elder Scrolls game. I mean, that is a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, like, if we didn't have um if I'm trying to okay, if Bethesda Game Studios, the big main studio games weren't supported the way that they were and just weren't fundamentally made for the purpose of literally being able to do whatever you want and be whoever you want, then this wait would have felt much longer. For me personally, I don't want to speak for everyone. It's crazy whenever you say 12 years since the last Elder Scrolls. And I'm like, yeah, 2011. Oh my God. Yeah, 12 years. But because of modding and just because of the nature of Bethesda BGS studios in
Mm-hmm.
general, they have thrived and sort of grown sweeter like wine over time. So I understand that there are fans frustrated or whatever. Those fans are probably the ones that have played 17 million hours of the game, which is totally awesome. It's fantastic. I'm still finding things in Skyrim, and that might just be due to the fact that I keep modding it. I think I finally do have like my main like modded game that it'll be like the last time I ever play it probably. And that's just like a testament to that fact. Just yeah, that's just I'm just gonna keep going around circles. But yeah, that's what I think
No,
about it. It's a
I
long
mean,
time.
and you know, to be fair, right? We can say that, you know, after Skyrim, they did drop ESO and they have continued to support Elder Scrolls Online really, really well, right? They launched Elder Scrolls Blades. It was a mobile game, but it's still an Elder Scrolls game, right? And then, of
Yeah.
course, they also dropped that card game, that Elder Scrolls card game. But I mean, the point's still there, though. I mean, 12 years almost since the last mainline Elder Scrolls game. That's a long time. I think, I mean, yeah, that is a ridiculously long time. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what, like, I mean, what is, but I mean, at the same time, what is Bethesda to do, right? Todd Howard's only a single man. He wants to work on Starfield, and then he wants to work on Elder Scrolls. And I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that I want to play an Elder Scrolls game that Todd Howard hasn't directly worked on or been a part of. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of what do you do in this situation other than just wait?
I would say that they have so many different so much help now, so much so many assets that what they could and should do is sort of split their main team as far as the ones who can do performance patches and stuff like that throughout it's the next 5-year cycle for Starfield. When DLC comes out, you leave some of that main team there who are more comfortable and more equipped to create and curate that DLC to make sure it's the best that it can be, while also taking another part of that team. I don't mean half. I just mean taking some, and then have Todd focus on Elder Scrolls 100%, because it's not that Elder Scrolls 6 is not in development. It has been. We have literally seen renders. I remember seeing the oh god, what's her name? The old the grandma, Skyrim's grandma.
Yeah.
They are putting her in the game, so they already have like they've already got her face. And
Yeah,
everything ready to
they
be put in the
invited
game.
her down to Bethesda Game Studios and took like 3D like kind of pictures of her so
Yeah,
they can model her and put her into the game, right? But I don't think that that's necessarily them really working on the game. You know what I mean? I don't think a large amount of work has been done for like the next Elder Scrolls game, at least not right now. And by that I mean, like, you know, designers going in, shaping worlds, building out quests. You know, I don't think any of that stuff has really been done yet. I think a lot of what's been in the works for Elder Scrolls right now is just pre-production stuff. You know what I mean? Like just kind of
yeah,
like ironing
totally.
out what the story's going to look like, just that type of stuff. I don't think that they've actually went in engine and really started creating a ton of things. I don't know. Maybe they've made maybe some prototypes or something. I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there is no way. Okay, let's just say, and maybe I can look this up. I don't want to look up because I don't want to take up too much time, but
What do you want to look
I
up?
want
I'll
to
look it up
know.
for you.
I just want to know, like, what is the typical DLC life cycle from launch until the last DLC for the past 2 BGS games? So Fallout 4, Skyrim, Oblivion. How many years? What's the average? You know, like, so what I mean is they launch the game, and then
Yeah.
from that point all the way to the last DLC that gets released. For me, I want to say 4 years. I want to say 4 years for some reason. That may be too much.
Whoa. Yeah. I
Fallout
would say
4
like
was
a year and a half, maybe 2 years max.
yeah, maybe I'm just absolutely insane. Chat, cancel me. But yeah, because I remember like Dragonborn DLC, or sorry, Hearthfire DLC was in the middle
Mhm.
of Skyrim, wasn't it? Or sorry, in middle of the DLC, and then we got Dragonborn. Or what? No. The last DLC we got was Vampire.
Yeah.
Dawnguard.
I think we got Dawnguard first. I think. And then we got the
Okay.
Hearthfire, and then we got the Vampire. But we might have gotten Hearthfire first. I don't really remember. It's been a while. I can look that up.
Mitch is a BGS god, and he knows everything about them. He says about 18 months. Man, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a lying asshole. Oh God, you know what? Fire me. Yeah, that's crazy. 4 years. What an idiot I am. Shut up, Red. But I'm sorry, everyone. But yeah, I think
So
looking at that,
we did get Dawnguard first. So we got Dawnguard, and then we got Hearthfire, then we got the Dragonborn DLC.
I was right. I was right about that. Hell yeah.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. But still, about 2 years. Let's just say 2 years.
Mhm.
Let's just say 2 years average. The hype dies down after everyone's beaten everything.
Well,
That's not
actually,
to say that BGS has to be full
I hate to jump in
blown.
again, but
Do it.
the last DLC, which was actually the Vampire DLC is Dawnguard, so that was the first one. The last one was the Dragonborn DLC, and that it's saying that released in 2012 December 4th. So yeah, yeah. Well, and then like the PlayStation version came out 2013 February 12th. So yeah, about a year and a half is right, pretty much on point, at least for that game.
Man, that takes me back. That takes me back. Yeah, I don't.
It'd just be great if we could experience it again before 15 years, you know?
Right. I guess my whole point is, regardless of how wrong I was about the years, which is fine, and the DLC and everything else that I say, pretty much is that when they are halfway through their DLC cycle is when they should start reallocating their assets as far as their teams go, and start helping them really focus fully on on Elder Scrolls 6, because Starfield's gonna have DLC. I don't know. What do you think about moving things around? Has that been done before? Because I am ignorant to that.
Like, what do you mean by moving things around?
Like, have they? I know that they have brought, like, and that just happens all the time in gaming in general. Whenever they just move teams from one studio to another, and they say, "You work on this now because my dudes are burnt out. We're moving on to this project. Finish this up." That's just kind of what I mean as far as from Starfield to Elder Scrolls 6. Because in my mind, I can't imagine that Elder Scrolls, like, the map has got to be there. The foundation of the game has to be there for it to be coming out in what, 4 years, something like that. That's another thing. What is it? Every 5 years? They had a 5-year between their games from Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3. Well, Fallout 3 and Oblivion, I don't think were that far apart, right? Or maybe they were.
Yeah, so I think Fallout came out in 2008. I'm wanting to think it might have been 2009. I know that. Well, I feel pretty confident in saying at the very least that Oblivion came out in 2006. But now, since I'm thinking about it, I'm wanting to say 2005. But I think it came out like in April 2006. So, like that's kind of just like a, 2 to 3 year window right there. And then of course New Vegas came out, but that was made by Obsidian. And then Skyrim came out in 2011. So, I mean, historically about a 3 to maybe 4 year window is what it takes Bethesda to pop out a new game.
Yeah. And this is the longest. And they had to hire not hire, but that, you know what I mean? A whole other studio did Fallout 76, and that has sort of filled the gap in between. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. And I know like they were hoping that this was the next. I don't want to go on tangent about 76, but
yeah,
I think that is a testament. KY Bob, shout out to him. He's awesome. He says November 2005. I guess he's talking about Oblivion.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds about right, because I think Morrowind came out in 2001, I believe, or 2002. I always want to say 2002.
It's killing me now. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, the dev cycle, like, they tried to branch out and allow, because they did the same thing with Fallout New Vegas. You know, they had Obsidian take care of that. And then they had, I want to say, is it Bethesda, Maryland? I can't remember.
Bethesda Game Studios is located in Rockville, Maryland.
No, I know that. I mean the studio that did 76. Which branch that was?
I think that was Texas, like Austin.
Austin, that sounds about right. Okay,
yeah.
I was close.
Yeah.
Totally close. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like when we see Elder Scrolls 6. I just feel like it's going to be insane. We're not even going to be able to. I'm like seeing it in my head. I don't want to bore people who are watching or listening.
I think Starfield's going to really show us what Elder Scrolls 6 is going to really look like for us, right? The same way that Oblivion kind of influenced, how Fallout looked and kind of, played as far as like movement and stuff like that went. And the same way that Skyrim kind of also set like the standard of what Fallout 4 would kind of be. I think Starfield is going to kind of set that standard for Oblivion, or not for Oblivion,
right,
but for Elder Scrolls 6. But also to add in, I mean, a big reason why a lot of people are complaining, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, are like, God, 12 years, right? Or, it's going to be 15 probably until we actually get the next Elder Scrolls game. A lot of that really just kind of boils down to Starfield, dirty old Starfield getting in the way, which stinky. I'm super excited to play it. Don't get me wrong. But, if Starfield wasn't a thing, then we would be getting Elder Scrolls here in a couple of months. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I know that you love Elder Scrolls. I love Elder Scrolls more than, it's like my most played game ever, even besides Mass Effect and all that. But sorry, KY Bond's losing his shit over Fallout 76. He says Fallout 76 needed a delay, but no release crap. Yeah, I hear you, Bobby. That's okay. So can you, if you think about Elder Scrolls 6 coming out in 4 years, or sorry, wait, what is it? No, 4 years, right? That's what we're saying.
Probably.
Yeah. Because people have been saying that for a long time. I've been saying 2026, and now Starfield's delayed, and now maybe 2027. That's such a long time to develop something. I guess because we don't know when full swing development has actually really gone hard. It's hard to say. It's hard to really have expectations other than what they expect from themselves. You know what I mean? So like, if let's just say Elder Scrolls 6 has been in development now fully for 3 years or something, and then they showed it in when did they show it? In 2019 or something like that?
2018, 2019. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So let's just say let's just say it's been in development for 6 years, okay, and then it comes out in another 6 years, from another 5 years from now or whatever. Like, dev cycles typically aren't that long for Bethesda, and I'm just wondering if it's the ambition that's really, how much more ambitious can you get with something like space and what Starfield's doing, which definitely hinges on procedural generation, which I totally get. Like, that is like, oh, that's much more feasible in a weird way versus every single thing is handcrafted. Now we know that what Bethesda, for anyone who doesn't know, but what Bethesda does is all their worlds are procedurally generated, and then they go in and then they sort of
edit
edit
what is
everything.
generated. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, they sort of just smooth everything out, and just that way the world's just there, it's done. So that saves them a lot of time. But if they just blow, and I keep saying like the Tamriel theory that I have, which I think I'm wrong, but having a huge region with like 3 whole, like, that'd be insane, man. The game's like 300 gigs. Sorry, I'm going like on a tangent. I'm just thinking out loud.
You are. You're basically saying like, how cool would it be if they leveraged procedural, generating of like their world to include like Hammerfell and Daggerfall and maybe like another Providence or something, right? Is that what you're basically saying?
Yes.
You okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Yeah. Because dude, that would be so cool. Again, I'll say this every time we talk about Elder Scrolls, but Todd said, if you ask me what we're doing, I need to work on my Todd voice, but
you do. Yeah.
He said he said if I told you what we were doing with Elder Scrolls 6, you'd ask me how's that even possible, and he said, well, the tech that we're using now is blah blah blah. He didn't want to get into it. So I guess what I was gonna say is like, is the ambition sort of weighing on Elder Scrolls 6? We're not going to see marketing for Elder Scrolls 6 at all. We cannot overshadow Starfield in any way possible. So now we have 2 years, let's just say 2 years after launch. I don't know, like even 2 years after launch. The thing, man, like I'm thinking out loud. I'm sorry, guys who are watching, listening. I know I'm like rambling. I'm just thinking out loud because I don't have things in front of me to look and look at what their history is with whenever it comes to how long after a game have they typically announced their next game. And it would have to be after that 18-month to 2-year cycle, because that's apparently what we know since we looked it up, and Mitch told us in the chat that the DLC is done after that.
Yeah.
So people have played it for years.
I mean, another thing though as well is, kind of like what you were talking about earlier with delegating labor. That's I don't know. No one's ever going to say that typically, I guess, in gaming, but like you got to put your labor, your resources where they're most needed at the time, right? DLC, yes, fans want DLC as as soon as they can get it, and you want to deliver that DLC to keep that game active and so on and so forth, right? But you also want to start developing your next game. And we kind of saw, how, I mean, obviously the culture and the standards of each developer are different, but with CD Projekt Red, we saw with Cyberpunk, right? They kind of gave us like a little gauge of, this portion of developers are working on this portion of developers are working on that, right? So like there's like a division of labor that happens sometimes at these studios to get multiple projects done, just kind of depending on how important they are and what's like the actual workload that needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty safe to say probably 3 years after the release of Starfield, we should probably start expecting Elder Scrolls to come out, right? So that kind of lands for like a 2026 kind of release date. It could obviously get delayed, pushed back. These things happen. But I would say pretty accurately 2026, to 2027 is really going to be probably like the main launch window that a lot of us are going to be looking at for Elder Scrolls 6. But I don't know. It's sad. It's too long to wait. I don't want to wait anymore. I just want this game out right now. But let's see what the chat has to say. Does the chat have anything
you read what
to say?
What Bob's saying? I don't know what's happening.
I think he's telling us about his show. He's cleaning the house, getting rid of some of the people on his show. I think that's basically what he's talking about. He's saying that we have room for Red Wolf to be a full-time panelist now.
That's 5 podcasts. 4 podcasts that I would be on then.
He came over to my show to steal you away from me, Red.
Man, you're putting me on the spot, Bobby. We'll talk. We'll see how I can pull that one. We'll talk. Yeah, but So Elder Scrolls is fun. It's a fun game.
This is a fun game.
Yeah, Diablo
is a fun game. And
baby.
Guess what? It was just announced today that Diablo 4 is getting another beta. The beta starts on May 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so noon Eastern Standard Time, and 9 a.m. for the Pacific Coast people. And it ends on May 14th. It starts on May 12th. What day is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me tell you. May 12th is a Friday, and then it
Ooh.
ends on Sunday. So there you go. Okay. And levels would be capped at 20, like the previous betas. And then also all of the previous beta rewards, such as I think it was like a little wolf in your backpack kind of thing, and some other stuff, that will still be eligible to be unlocked. So if anyone played the previous Diablo betas, or maybe even didn't get a chance to play them, but never reached level 20 to unlock those rewards, you can do it starting on May 12th. To May 14th, because there's going to be a new beta. Diablo has also stated, or Blizzard has also stated, that this beta will contain feedback and balance changes from its previous betas. So, Wolf, did you have a chance to play the Diablo beta? If not, are you going to take part in it this time? And how excited are you for this game?
No, I didn't. Max says it's level 25. You idiot! No, he didn't say it. He said it's level 25, level 25? 20. Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, let me just tell you. Publication lied to me, and I'll tell you what publication here in a second.
Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, I did not get a chance to play this. It came and went, just like my dad, and so I didn't really get a chance to say hello or goodbye. But I will jump in just to see how it feels. I have learned the hard way, and sort of like a bittersweet way. Whenever years and years ago, I would look at games on online on YouTube or whatever and watch playthroughs of them and sort of formulate my own opinion based on what I was seeing rather than what I actually had in my hands. But seriously, once I did try out new games that I thought I wouldn't like, I ended up liking the majority of them. I have played Diablo before, and I like it for what it is. It is sort of it's like XCOM. It's like it sort of made its own genre with how well it does what it does. So now whenever a game like XCOM with turn-based combat comes out, like Wasteland, what's Wasteland? Well, it's like XCOM, but it's post-apocalyptic. I can't think of a game that's like Diablo right off the tip of my butthole. But what I will say is that I'll give us a chance. I don't know how fun this game's going to be by myself, but I'll give it a shot. I know it's big open world. Like I said before, I know like the camera for Diablo might not be the greatest for me personally for a single player game, if that makes sense. So when I talked about earlier, living in an RPG world, sort of taking my time with it, I don't think Diablo is that game at all. I think Diablo is sort of playing with your friends, running dungeons, surviving. It's bullet hell, but without bullets, and just fun. But I will jump into it because maybe I'll love it so much that I'll say fuck everything I just said, and I'm wrong, and I'll love it. So I am gonna jump. I am gonna try to jump into it. Yeah.
I've had like a love-hate relationship with Diablo. You know what I mean? I love to play it with friends. I hate to play it by myself. And I played up until like level 5. Oh, by the way, just to say, I'm going to throw these guys under the bus. Polygon, they lied to me. They said level 20. So that was the publication that lied to me. Anyway.
Oh.
Well, allegedly lied to me. So long as, what Mac's saying is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You know what I mean? But I played Diablo, got to level 5, really enjoyed it, but I stopped myself from playing it. Not because I didn't want to play it, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but because I was enjoying it so much. I didn't want to continue playing and then not be able to play it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to beat Act 1 and then be like, well, I wonder what happens in Act 2, and then be stuck, a couple of months like just waiting around, with nothing to do, not being able to play it, and so on and so forth. So when this beta comes out, I actually have a pretty hard decision to make. Do I jump into it, level up to level 20 to get those rewards? Or do I just, try to ignore it and just not play it and just leave everything for when the game actually comes out? And I don't know.
Yeah, I get what. So you're like, I want to like quit before it tells me to quit. It's my choice. I get you. I totally get that. Yeah, I can't. The last time, obviously Diablo 3 was the last thing I played Diablo 3 completely alone, and by the time I was like halfway through it, I just skipped all the dialogue and just played it just because I owned it, I paid money for it, and I beat it. That's what I'm doing now with a lot of games. I'm hoping that I feel like you whenever I jump back in and feel like this was so good. Because I've seen enough of it. It looks dope. People say the Warrior sucks. That sucks for me because that's all I wanted to play. But maybe they change. Maybe they give him like a whip, something to throw around.
A whip.
A cool whip, so
There
you
you
can toss
go.
people around and get them tossed, real good and tossed in the sauce. Yeah, that'd be dope. So just some projectile action going on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'm actually kind of excited about, though, and the big reason why I want to actually jump in and play it is because, we talked about this, I think on episode 2 of the RPGwhat podcast. We talked about Diablo. We talked about how it was actually a beta and not a marketing beta.
Right, an actual
we made a really big deal in informing people that it was an actual beta and not a marketing beta. And it's kind of funny because Blizzard has also stated that they have listened to feedback and they've implemented in some balancing changes from the previous beta. They've also recently announced that Diablo 4 has gone gold, which doesn't really mean a whole lot the way that it used to, right? Because a lot of games can just now be updated and changed because everything's kind of digital now. But it still kind of goes into saying that they believe that they have a completed game, a finished, a finalized, game on their hands. Not to say that it's probably not going to get updates very frequently on upon launch, but I think that this is very much what you would call a marketing beta, right? Or what Rod Ferguson would call a marketing beta. I think that this is basically our last show of very much what the game is going to be like whenever we get to play it in June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
no, I do, but like the next bit of news about Diablo 4 sort of ties into how I feel about it being a beta. So, do you want to take us into that with the gold?
Well, I mean, Diablo or Blizzard just recently announced that Diablo 4 has went gold, meaning that it is a finished product, right? So back in the day, historically, whenever a game went gold, they would make a master copy of it and then they would just start printing it, right? Now in today's time where physical isn't really as big anymore, it's really just kind of all about digital for a majority of players. The whole has gone gold doesn't really mean what it used to mean anymore, but it still is. It just kind of signifies that, hey, this game's ready, to be, printed and sent out to distributors, basically.
Right. So what does that say about Diablo 4 being an actual beta? I don't know. Maybe I just need to be educated, because if it's a beta, that means that, to me, you have your alpha build, you have your beta build, you have your gold build, which is the final build, and whatever the hell is in between all of those. How was Diablo just a few months ago, or whenever the first beta was, a beta if they just went gold? How is this beta still a beta if the game is now gold? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, so whenever the last beta happened, right? There was a lot of talk about, performance issues and so on and so forth, right? Like server issues and so on. And Rod Ferguson came out and he basically said, well, this isn't, like a beta like most people are used to, that being a marketing beta, right? This is actually a beta where we're looking to test game features, get feedback, look at how many people we can get on the servers and so on and so forth, right? And so what I'm ultimately saying is, because the game has just gone gold, this probably isn't, an actual beta, like the way that most people would think of it. It's more of just marketing, right? Just to let people get their hands on it, get people more hyped, get more people talking about the game before it launches, which is what most companies do whenever they release a beta. You know what I mean? When a beta launches, typically really not a whole lot changes from what you played in the beta versus what you play on day one, right? But I think what Blizzard is basically saying, or what Rod Ferguson was basically saying, is in the previous betas, we were actually testing things. We actually wanted feedback, and we will ideally see how the game has been improved in this newest beta.
I got you. Okay, thank you for telling me and educating me on that, because I just assumed it was like, oh, it's just like the not done version of the game, which is not like I mentioned, like the beta. Every time I think of beta, I literally just picture whatever that beta map was on Halo 3, and like you're driving a warthog and there's like a little baby little like little bridge, and I remember people going into Forge mode and going into the Spartan's helmet, and you can see a face, and it's got like the glowing eyes with like a scar over an eye, and people are like, that's what he looks like. That's Master Chief. Anyway, but then they fundamentally changed a lot of the things in Halo 3, and it's perfect. Yeah, so that does make more sense. So thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to play it. It's one of those things. It's like after Diablo, really, that's the last big game that we'll get. That's not on Game Pass games, which I'm not saying that to downplay anything for Xbox players, that I would be interested in having to buy, because then Starfield comes out, and then you'll never see me again. I'm willing to give it a shot. So here's what I'll say: I will play Diablo 4. I will play it, and I will get back to you with my thoughts. Wait, no. May 10th, 11th, so 12th. So it'll be a while. So we'll have another show before this. I'll tell you next time. Yeah. I'm excited.
Okay. Got you. Yeah, no, I mean, I hear what you're saying with, Diablo is going to be like the last, is honestly going to be the last game that I'm going to actually buy, or have to purchase. Actually, I think my friend's buying it through, and we game share, so I don't actually have to buy that. But it is like the last game that you have to buy, or for me, because the very next game that I'm super excited about after Diablo 4 is Starfield, right? And that just directly is into Game Pass. Yeah. So does anyone have anything in chat to say? Actually, Bob invited us, you and me both, to a summer barbecue, Red.
I saw that and I said, barbecue chicken, baby, falling off the bone. I used to work at a barbecue place for a couple. I'm a certified pit master, apparently, because I had to do a training for a year. I learned a lot, actually, and learned that if meat whenever you pick up a rib that you have not smoked properly and it's not falling off the bone whenever you can sort of bend it backwards, you did it wrong, you piece of shit. So I learned that if meat is not literally falling off the bone, then you did it wrong. I also learned that it takes a minimum of 14 hours for brisket to smoke, depending on the kind of smoker, to be honest. Wrapped in, completely wrapped in the heavy duty cellophane or saran wrap, and then wrapped around that would be the tin foil, and let it just go around in that smoker. 14 hours, baby, and it's just the best thing you ever had in your life.
I love brisket. Brisket's delicious.
So good. You ever been to Dickie's? You've been to Dickie's.
No, I haven't.
What the fuck?
No, never been.
It's fine.
Never been.
It's
anyway.
So good.
Bob does mention one thing, and we'll touch on this real quick. Is that Diablo 4 will eventually come to Game Pass, and it will once this Activision Blizzard deal gets done and everything's squared away. Diablo will come. I don't think it's going to come into Game Pass before. Stop it. Before it actually releases. I would say it's probably going to be later on this fall, or maybe possibly early next year, that we actually get Diablo into Game Pass. It just kind of depends on when this deal gets finalized and when everything just gets set up and so on and so forth. But Red, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me under. I'm not gonna be weird. You can find me at Red Wolf Renegade on YouTube. I have a podcast every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Red Wolf Renegade on YouTube and on Twitter. Give me a follow. I'll follow you back, and I'll promote your stuff. I'll retweet your stuff. Just send me a DM and tell me how much you love me, and I'll tell you how much I love you too. I'll tell the whole world. Yeah. I'm very excited. We have a full panel now. So we are sort of toning down the having 15 guests on at once, Bob. But so we're happy that we're finally finding stability. So we will be looking into having a new guest at one at a time now, unless we have like a party or something like that. Have you on again, because that was awesome. You were on last week, and I say last week, it was 2 days ago. But that was such a fun time, and we're gonna have you on again, man, because I love you. So that's where you can find me. I was long on it. Red Wolf Renegade on YouTube. That'll be in the description below. I keep saying that. I don't know if you actually put it there, but yes,
I do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go down description. Thank you.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at Zimmy Games. And if you're watching this podcast, you already know that right here is the YouTube channel. So if you haven't done so already, hit the like button on the show and make sure to subscribe if you want to, not miss out on future amazing content. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a new episode of the RPGwhat podcast will come out. That's it. Anything else? No.
I just wanted to say thanks, everyone, for being here, and for the people who made it this far. And if you made it this far, down in the comments, I want to see hashtag 12 years. That's what I want to see if you made it this far. Yeah.
Hashtag 12 years. There you go.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Everyone, have a good day. See ya. Bye.
Bye.